What's going on, film fam? It's your guy, Rod the Right One, with another episode of Screenwriters Monday. And today, finally, bring it in. A little closer. Right, perfect. Talking outlines. Right. All right, guys, like I said, today we are talking outlines. I know you guys are itching to use some of the things that you learned the first 3 episodes to start writing your screenplays, but I wanted to at least dabble a little bit into outlining and how it's done, why it's done, what you do to do it, and then what happens afterwards, right? So just a quick pause. Just want to kind of give you guys a heads up. Today I'm actually recording a little bit differently than I normally do. Normally I use my mic, I have it set up on the table, or I have a boom above me. Today I'm actually using wireless audio, so I don't know if you guys can see that. I'll try to get a nice little zoom in, but I'm trying this wireless audio system out. I'm actually going to be dropping a review on this piece this upcoming Friday for Filmmakers Friday. It's gonna be my first review video, so just bear with me if it's terrible. All right, I'll do my best, but it's not really my forte, but I wanted to kind of dabble in that a little bit when it comes to Filmmaking Fridays, just some gear stuff for you guys. So we'll do that Friday, all right? So definitely check that out. But back to Screenwriters Monday. So today we're gonna talk about, like I said, outlining and why it's necessary. The first reason why you wanna think about outlining, a lot of people kind of have the same gripes about it. They usually hate it because they don't want to feel limited or feel like they're kind of confined to writing a certain amount of things or a certain way. Once they outline it, it has to be in the screenplay. And I'm here to tell you that's not the truth. So the reason why I outline is because I like to have reference points to go back to when I'm writing my screenplay. If it's a quick one, 10 pages, you might not even need to outline. Just come up with the ideas in your brain, kind of match it up however you gotta match it up, but then from there, you don't necessarily have to outline. Whenever you're doing a 120-page story, having an outline to reference back to when you're in the page 60, 70, 80, 90 is gonna help you out a lot. So for me personally, whenever I do my outlining, I usually don't reference back to it, just because for whatever reason, the way that my brain works is once I write it down, it's like it gets written down in my brain as well. So I usually can go straight off memory to write the remainder of my screenplay. But sometimes, like I wrote a script that was about 130 pages and I had, towards the end, I know there's certain things I wanted to put in it that I couldn't remember what they were. So I went back to my outline and I went from there. So you're never gonna be constricted to your outline. If you're writing an outline that literally lays out every single detail of your script, then you're wasting way too much time outlining. You're wasting way too much time outlining. So I would say you're gonna outline just enough to get you from scene to scene, and everything else is gonna be from your brain. So now let's move on to the how. How do we outline, Rod? So the way that I do it is about couple different techniques. There's a million ways to outline. And if I wanted to do a 3-hour episode of the show, I can kind of go through all of them. But there's a couple different techniques that I like to use the most that we're gonna go over. So one, grab a reference book that you use, whether it was Save the Cat, like I told you in the episode 2, or if you use a screenplay by Sid Fields, whatever it is, grab something that you can kind of reference back to there too. When you're actually like putting your ideas and plans together, watch a couple of my other videos as well, whatever helps you plan and kind of get all your stuff together. These are the 2 main ways that I actually like to do my outlining. So one way is with index cards. So index cards, they're small, they're portable, you know, they can get the job done for whatever you need to get them done with, all right? And the way I usually do it, I'll put whatever the scene is gonna be on the front of it, maybe with some major character that's gonna be in the scene, maybe the setting, just some ideas to set me up. And then on the back, I will put, once again, the scene header. I'll put like a brief little action description. And if there's any major dialogue that I wanna make sure I don't forget, I'll put it there too. So it might look something like, you know, scene, interior, coffee house, day. Betty walks into the coffee house. She stumbles on her way in. She goes up to the barista and asks him for a specific drink, where she notices Joel staring at her. All right, simple, nothing crazy, but just enough to at least know, all right, these are some of the things I want to happen in the scene. Now, if there's like a one piece of dialogue I want Joel to say, or if I wanted him to say like a joke, like, hey, you dropped something. What, my phone number here, you know? And it was something like that I wanted to make sure that I didn't forget, I'll put it there. But if I wanted just to kind of flow the dialogue however I want to flow it, then I wouldn't put anything. All right, and that's one way that you can do it with index cards. And the beauty of either way, either index cards or any other type of, chronological outlining, is that it helps you see your movie as you're putting it together. So my second way is, if you're not using index cards, is actually just to do it in a writing program. Like not like a script writing program, but something basic like Microsoft Word or whatever you use to just write out random notes like that. And you kind of base it the same way, where you write, the scene header, a couple pieces of action. If there's any important lines or if there's any important action that you need to get done in that scene that you just don't want to forget, you put it there. And then you go from there. And it's, like I said, it's best to do it chronologically and in the order in which you think makes the most sense, so that as you're finishing and as you're writing it, you can kind of put everything together how it needs to be. And it also allows you to see what you're missing. So if there's no turning point from Act 1 to Act 2, or there's no clear conflict from Act 2 to Act 3, so there's no point of a resolution, like stuff like that, you can look for as you're doing your outlining. And that's one of the big reasons why I do it. So if you have like this idea in your head and you just want to get down and start writing, that's great. I love it. But you want to outline just to make sure that you're not missing on what makes great stories great. And those are the main things. So now that we know we can do it in a writing program or index cards, now you want to figure out exactly what you're going to be doing, right? So I kind of broke it down a little bit, but I'll even go a little bit more into detail. So there's about 2 ways that I usually do mine. One way is going to be the way that I said it before, where you put the scene header, you put a little piece of action, put any important notes that you want the character, any important pieces of dialogue, anything that you want, that you don't want to forget, you want to put there. And then you go to the next scene and the next scene, next scene. Right? And that was great. And it lets you, it breaks you down everything. It kind of can give you like a beginning, middle, and end of your script, or a scene, I should say, beginning, middle, end of each scene, so that you know that you're moving in the right direction. Another way I like to do mine, more than the other way, I like to do it kind of like a treatment. So a treatment is your script pretty much in story form. And that's the way I usually do mine. So the way I set up my pages, when I use like Microsoft Word, let's say, the top, I'll put characters, right? So I'll put the main character first, I'll give him a little brief bio and his age, and then I'll put most of the other characters in relation to the main character, how they are related or what their relationship is with the main character. Like dual main characters, I'll put them back to back as well, stuff like that. But I usually break it down that way, where I have the characters up top. If there's anything unique about the setting, I'll put that next. So if it's like a post-apocalyptic world or something of that nature, and I want to just kind of make sure that I'm world building a little bit, I'll put some details for that there. And then from there, I'll break down the story. So I'll go from the opening scene to literally the end of the film, and I'll just kind of write it out almost in sentences in a way that, not necessarily like this long paragraph where they're first to do this and then they go here and then they do this, but just an elongated version of the breakdown, how we discussed it before. That's what I usually put together for in my screenplay. That's how I usually write my screenplay. I break it down in like long story form from the first scene to the last. And I'll put like a sentence, character goes here and does this, says this. Character goes here, does this, says this. Character goes here, does this, says this. And just a breakdown, and I'll go through it. And that allows me personally to watch or see my film play out how I need it to play out. All right, so those are the main 2 ways that I usually like to do my outlining. Now, the other thing is what do you do once you have, let's say, an outline, right? Because that's the main thing. You want to be able to get to writing your screenplay. So for me, like I said, once I have my outline written, I normally don't look back at it. Now, it's terrible practice to not do that. Always look back at it. But what you can do is you can actually do it like any other time. If you're doing like a research project, you're gonna have your research next to you as you're writing your screenplay. So you can have the scene, you'll look at it quick, you'll see that, see what characters are in it, where you're actually, like where the location is and so on and so forth. So you can type it up quick, break it down, put your action together. And then from there, the flow of the story actually will grab you. So that's the main thing. You always want to make sure that the flow of the story is grabbing you. If you ever feel like you're forcing something, you probably are. And if you feel that you're forcing it, the audience is going to feel the same thing. So never force it. Just always, if it doesn't feel like it's working out, just nip it in the bud. All right, just cut that scene short and then keep going. And what you can do when you go back to your re-edits, you go back into that scene with a fresh mind. Now you know exactly how this whole story plays out. You know exactly what the character's gonna be doing. So now you know how to mold the story so that it fits your ending even better. It's not a crime to write a bland first draft. Okay, I'm gonna say it one more time just so that we understand. It is not a crime to write a bland first draft. That is the reason why we edit. The first draft, you're getting all your ideas out in proper script form and in chronological order. From there, you know what the beginning, the middle, and the end is. And once you have that, you can mold everything else. It's kind of like creating a masterpiece in clay. All right, you ever seen those clay spinners? You know, they put like the big old block of clay on there and then they start spinning it around and all that stuff. Yeah, it starts as a block, but it could end as a vase. Don't worry if your first draft is terrible. That's fine. Edit it, see what is missing, look through it. So you need a starting point. I know as a new writer, the one thing that you're going to dwell on a lot, and I've done it, that's why I'm saying it, and I know it. You're gonna dwell on making sure that whatever you write is the best version of that it needs to be the first time. And I'm telling you right now, do not dwell on that. You're better off finishing it because you're going to be at a better mindset once the script is complete. You're going to know exactly what needs to happen, what needs to be said in dialogue pieces, and what needs to get you to from scene to scene every single time. So that's my piece of advice. Outline and write that first draft. Because once you have that first draft done, you gotta get opinions from other people. You could do a lot of other things. But until you have it done, it's just ideas in your head. Just ideas in your head. Anyway, guys, so that's gonna be it for this episode of Screenwriters Monday. Once again, like, share, subscribe if you're not already. And we're gonna do this again next Monday. We're gonna actually start our mini series next Monday of breaking down each section of the screenplay, starting with scene header and transitions. Then we're going to action, and we're going to go to dialogue, and then we're going to end it with characters, mainly because characters is like this big broad. We might have to do like a 4-part series of characters just because it's a major thing. Getting characters right is very difficult, and I want to make sure that I'm setting you guys up for the most amount of success. So that's what we'll do. So that's all I got for you guys. Thanks again. See you guys next Monday. And once again, check out next Friday, Filmmakers Friday, where we go over our first gear review. All right, we're going to touch on this one. All right. Anyway, that's it, man. Rod the right one out.
Roll the town, like blow it down, like what it sound, like 21 answers, hey, what it sound, like if I tell you look, hey, what it sound.